You ever noticed this? You're in meetings all day, everyone's talking, information moves, and it feels productive. Then Friday hits, and you can't point to a single thing that actually closed. Your calendar was packed with back to back meetings all week, but the decisions that mattered are still sitting there. The loops are still open. Nothing really moved, even though it felt like it did. Meetings can create the feeling of progress without producing it. Teams sit in that pattern for months. Headcount grows, but output doesn't. So, what's going on? You'll hear that people lack context or that priorities aren't clear. And that sounds reasonable. If people don't know what's happening, they struggle to decide, right? So, the fix becomes more meetings, more stand ups or check ins. People leave saying, glad we're on the same page. Everything feels productive. 2 weeks later, the same topic is back on the agenda and still open. And yet, another meeting gets added. Meetings feel productive because everyone hears the same information. Hearing the same information isn't the same as making a decision. If a meeting ends and no one owns the final decision, nothing closes. An open loop pulls it back onto the calendar. Another session gets scheduled and more input gets layered in. That's the update loop. Meetings shift from producing decisions to producing status updates. Everyone shares and nods along, but no one leaves with authority, so the decision drifts. Now picture this. You're in a roadmap meeting. The head of product presents 3 options for next quarter. Option A supports enterprise deals, option B focuses on retention, and option C tries to split the effort. Sales pushes for A, while growth pushes for B, and the CFO asks whether engineering can deliver either one. Someone wants more customer input or better estimates, and another suggests taking a week to think it through. Then the meeting ends. It felt like a solid discussion, but there was no decision made. No one left empowered to say what you're doing or when. Budget limits weren't fixed, timelines weren't locked, and no one owned the decision. So it stayed open. And because it stayed open, everything beneath it stayed open too. Product can't lock priorities. Engineering won't commit to timelines, and sales can't promise delivery. So, work continues. But it's just guesswork. Next week, the topic returns. Under pressure, this gets worse. When the stakes rise, asking for more data sounds responsible. Instead of deciding, though, the leader asks for another perspective or another round. It looks like they're being careful, but it's really just avoidance. No one wants to own a wrong decision, so responsibility spreads across the room. Everyone appears thoughtful, but no one carries the outcome. So the update loop becomes the polite way to avoid closure. Now, what does that cost? The calendar expands because every open loop demands another meeting, and meetings that don't close create, you guessed it, more meetings. Soon, everyone's busy, but no one can point to what actually moved. The definition of done starts to blur. Projects stretch and conversations get repetitive. You hear, let's pressure test it, which usually means no one set the standard for when to move. So the work keeps circling, and of course, it looks careful, but it's really just drift. Over time, commitment weakens. If decisions don't stick, people hedge and keep their options open because they've learned these things might change sooner or later. Eventually, caulking replaces closing, and the standard shifts from did we decide to did we discuss that? and progress drops. Strong people feel it first. I mean, they still show up. They stop bringing their best thinking. Why push hard if it's going to loop back again next week? That withdrawal builds quietly in the background. This isn't about communication or morale. It's about missing guardrails. If no one owns the decision, it won't close. And if authority, budget, or timeline aren't defined, room defaults to discussion because discussion feels safe. Meetings turn into an update delivery system, and that system becomes how the company runs. And don't think AI will fix it. It can speed things up, but it can't decide for you. It doesn't have to live with the consequences of a bad decision. If the boundaries aren't there, automation just accelerates the chaos. Look at your last 3 meetings. Can you name who walked out with a final decision? Not who contributed, but who owned it. If you can't answer that, the meeting was built for reporting. And reporting keeps people occupied, but doesn't move the business. That's an expensive meeting. When a meeting feels productive, ask yourself one thing. Did something close, or did you just talk? If it didn't close, nothing moved. It was only another update loop.